The hunter's path. The night air carried the scent of rain as Celine Frost positioned herself on the rooftop overlooking the neon-drenched streets of New Seoul. Her cybernetic arm hummed quietly as she adjusted the sight on her pulse rifle, the blue targeting laser painting a dot on the nightclub entrance below. 6 years of hunting had led to this moment. Tonight, Dominic Reed would die. Raindrops began to fall, sliding off her waterproof tactical gear as she maintained her vigil. The intel had cost her the last of her credits, but it was worth every bit if it meant finishing her mission. The memory of flames consuming her childhood home flashed behind her eyes, and she blinked it away, refocusing on the club entrance. Her comm unit beeped softly. Target approaching from the west, came the voice of her only ally, Vex, a hacker who'd helped her track Reed across 3 star systems. "Copy that," Celine replied, her voice cool as the metal of her cybernetic arm. She shifted her position, catching sight of a tall figure in a charcoal coat walking with purpose toward the club. Dominic Reed. Former military intelligence. Current private security specialist. Murderer. She'd memorized his face from the classified files she'd stolen, strong jawline, eyes the color of a winter sky, a scar cutting through his left eyebrow. Even from this distance, she recognized his confident stride. As he approached the club entrance, Celine steadied her breathing. 1 shot. That's all it would take. Justice for her parents, for her little brother who'd never had a chance to grow up. Her finger caressed the trigger. But something wasn't right. Reed stopped suddenly, looking directly up toward her position. Impossible. She'd disabled all security systems in the area. Her heart rate spiked as he raised a hand, not in defense, but in a simple gesture of acknowledgement. He knew she was there. Celine cursed and rolled away from her position just as the rooftop beside her exploded in a shower of concrete. Someone else was hunting tonight. Gathering her equipment with practiced efficiency, she sprinted across the rooftop, leaping to the adjacent building as more shots peppered the space she'd just vacated. "Vex, I've got company," she hissed into her comm. "Not my doing," came the surprised reply. "Reed's people." "Doubtful." He looked as surprised as I was. Reaching a fire escape, Celine descended rapidly, the servos in her cybernetic arm whirring as she controlled her descent. At street level, she merged with the crowd, keeping her head down as she navigated through the throngs of nightlife revelers. A hand gripped her normal arm, pulling her into a dark alley. Celine reacted instantly, her cybernetic fist connecting with her attacker's jaw, or should have, if he hadn't blocked it with surprising speed. "I'm not here to hurt you," Dominic Reed said, his voice low and gravelly. Celine's eyes narrowed as she tried to wrench away. "You've done enough hurting for one lifetime." "You're Celine Frost," he said, not loosening his grip. "Daughter of General Marcus Frost and Dr. Eliza Frost of the Lunar Colony. You think I killed your family?" "I don't think," she spat. "I know." Reed's eyes, she noticed with unwanted clarity, were filled not with guilt or fear, but with a strange sadness. "Then why am I trying to save your life right now?" Before she could respond, the wall beside them exploded, sending them both sprawling. Through the ringing in her ears, Celine heard the unmistakable sound of tactical boots approaching. Black-clad figures emerged through the dust, weapons raised. "Frost and Reed," a modulated voice announced. 2 targets, 1 location. Efficient. Reed moved with surprising speed for a man his size, drawing a weapon and firing in one fluid motion. 2 attackers fell before Celine had even regained her footing. Her training kicked in, and she unsheathed the vibroblade from her cybernetic arm, slashing through the nearest attacker. Fighting back-to-back with the men she'd sworn to kill wasn't how she'd imagined this night going. Yet there was an undeniable rhythm to their combat, as if they'd trained together for years. When she ducked, he fired over her head. When he moved left, she was already covering his right. As the last attacker fell, Celine spun, pressing her blade to Reed's throat. "This doesn't change anything." "It changes everything," he replied calmly, seemingly unconcerned with the weapon at his neck. "The people who just tried to kill us. They're from the same organization that murdered your family. The same people who framed me for it." Convenient explanation. "Why would I save you if I wanted you dead?" "To gain my trust. To finish what you started." Reed's eyes hardened. "I was assigned to protect your family, not kill them. I failed once. I'm not failing again." Celine hesitated, her blade still at his throat. Prove it. I can do better than that. I can help you find the real killers. He slowly reached into his coat, pulling out a data chip. Everything I've gathered over 6 years. Same as you, I've been hunting for the truth. The wail of security sirens grew closer. Decision time. We need to move, Reed urged. Trust me or kill me, but decide now. Against every instinct she'd honed for years, Celine lowered her blade. If you're lying to me, a quick death will be a mercy compared to what I'll do to you. A grim smile touched his lips. I'd expect nothing less. They fled together through the maze-like back alleys of New Seoul, eventually reaching a safe house Reed maintained in the industrial district. As he punched in the security code, Celine maintained her distance, weapon ready. Trust wasn't something she gave easily, especially not to the men who had been her nemesis for so long. The safe house was spartanly furnished but well equipped. Reed moved to a console, inserting the data chip he'd shown her. 6 years ago, he began, I was assigned to your father's security detail during the lunar colony peace negotiations. I was specifically tasked with protecting your family while the general focused on the diplomatic mission. Holographic images sprang to life, showing classified mission parameters, official assignments. Celine recognized her father's signature on several documents. The night of the attack, I was drugged by someone on the inside. By the time I regained consciousness, the residence was in flames. I tried to get in. His voice faltered slightly, and he rolled up his sleeve, revealing extensive burn scars running up his arm. I couldn't save them. When I came to in the medical bay, I was already being framed for their murder. Celine studied the evidence before her, conflicting emotions battling within. For 6 years, her hatred for this man had been her compass, driving her every decision. What was she without that hatred? Who, she finally asked, her voice barely controlled. Who really killed my family? Reed's expression darkened. An organization called Black Iris. They're a private military contractor that stood to lose billions if your father's peace treaty went through. They're the ones who just tried to kill us both. They've known we've been getting closer to the truth. Why should I believe any of this? Reed moved to another console, pressing his palm to the scanner. A hidden compartment in the wall slid open, revealing something that made Celine's breath catch. A small, singed stuffed rabbit. Her brother's favorite toy. I managed to pull this out before the flames got too intense, Reed said quietly. I've kept it, hoping someday I could return it to someone who would understand its value. Celine took the toy with trembling hands, memories flooding back of her little brother clutching it as he followed her around their home. She looked up at Dominic Reed with new eyes, seeing not a monster, but a man haunted by the same tragedy that had defined her life. We have the same enemy, he said simply. Celine looked down at the rabbit, then back at the men she'd hunted for so long. Then we have the same mission. But understand this, if I learn you've lied about any of this, my original plan stands. Reed nodded gravely. I'd expect nothing less. Now, let me show you what I've learned about Black Iris. As night deepened outside the safe house windows, they pored over intelligence, building a picture of their shared enemy. For the first time in 6 years, Celine's hatred had a new target. And for the first time, she fought alongside the men she'd sworn to kill, their shared pain forming an unlikely bond that neither had anticipated. The hunt had changed, but it was far from over. Shattered truths. Dawn broke over New Seoul, casting long shadows through the safe house windows. Celine hadn't slept, spending the night examining Reed's intelligence on Black Iris. Her cybernetic fingers scrolled through document after document, each revealing a piece of the puzzle she'd been missing for 6 years. Reed returned from a supply run, carrying coffee and food. You should eat something, he said, setting a container beside her. I'm not hungry, she replied automatically, though the aroma of real coffee, an expensive luxury in New Seoul, made her stomach rumble traitorously. Your cybernetics need the energy, he countered, nodding toward her arm. I recognize the model. Military-grade Shimada tech draws power from your body's natural electrical field. Not eating is like running a vehicle without fuel. Celine glanced up, surprised. You know your tech. I know a lot of things. He sat across from her, his own coffee untouched. Including what it's like to be driven by revenge. She took the coffee, allowing herself a small sip. This isn't just revenge. It's justice. Is there a difference? The question wasn't confrontational, merely thoughtful. Before she could answer, the secure comm unit on the table beeped. Reed activated it, and Vex's voice filled the room. Celine. Are you there? Please tell me you didn't actually team up with Reed. The situation's complicated, Celine replied, watching Reed carefully. What do you have for me? Vex sighed audibly. Those mercs that attacked you. Definitely Black Iris operatives. Their communication frequency matches what we've tracked before. But here's the interesting part, they weren't just after you. They had a special directive for Reed. Reed leaned forward. What kind of directive? Capture, not kill. They want you alive, Reed. Specifically requested by someone codenamed Phantom. Celine watched as Reed's expression changed, a flash of recognition quickly masked. Send everything you have on this Phantom, Celine instructed. And Vex, thanks. After the communication ended, she fixed Reed with a steely gaze. You know who Phantom is. For a moment, he was silent, internal conflict evident in his eyes. Phantom is Cassandra Vale. My former handler in military intelligence. And my ex-fiancé. Celine felt her anger flare. Another detail you conveniently left out. Because it's complicated. Reed ran a hand through his hair. After I was framed, Cass disappeared. I assumed she'd been killed or captured. If she's working with Black Iris now. She could have been part of it from the beginning, Celine finished, her cybernetic hand clenching into a fist. She could have been the one who drugged you that night. The pain in Reed's eyes was raw, genuine. I need to know for sure. Well, now we have a target. Celine stood, moving to gather her weapons. Find this Phantom, find our answers. Reed caught her arm, her human one. The contact sent an unexpected warmth through her that she quickly suppressed. We can't just storm into Black Iris headquarters. They're expecting that. We need leverage. What kind of leverage? Reed pulled up a new set of files on the holographic display. Black Iris isn't just a military contractor. They're developing something called Project Eclipse, weaponized nanotechnology. The kind that could make conventional warfare obsolete. What does this have to do with my family? Your mother, Reed said softly. Dr. Eliza Frost was one of the leading experts in nanomedicine. Her research was the foundation they're building on. But she refused to weaponize it. The revelation hit Celine like a physical blow. Her mother's research, her life's work dedicated to healing, twisted into something destructive. They killed her for her research, she whispered. And they've been using it ever since. But here's where we have an advantage. Reed highlighted a section of the report. They're having stability issues. The nanites become unstable after deployment. They need a specific algorithm to maintain coherence, an algorithm only your mother fully developed. Celine felt a cold realization dawning. You think I have it? I think your cybernetic arm might. Reed pointed to the specialized neural interface at the base of her artificial limb. Military-grade prosthetics often contain secure storage, a place for operatives to store data that can't be remotely accessed. Data that would die with them if necessary. Celine stared at her arm with new understanding. She'd salvaged it from a military surplus dealer 3 years ago, paying for it with favors she'd rather forget. She'd chosen it for its combat capabilities, never questioning why such advanced tech had been available on the black market. If you're right, then I've been carrying the key to Black Iris's plans without knowing it. Her eyes narrowed. And that makes me an even bigger target. It might be the leverage we need. Reed's expression was grim but determined. Phantom wants me alive. Black Iris wants whatever might be in your arm. We can use both. A sound outside the window interrupted them, the distinctive whine of tactical drones. Reed was on his feet instantly, peering through the blinds. Surveillance units, he confirmed. They found us. How? Celine demanded, already gathering essentials into a go-bag. Only one possibility, your hacker friend. Either they got to him, or he was never truly on your side. Celine wanted to defend Vex, but doubt crept in. He'd been her only ally for years, but she knew little about him beyond his technical skills. We need to move, Reed said. I have another safe house across the city. Too risky. They'll be watching all access routes. Celine checked her weapons. We need to go underground. Literally. 20 minutes later, they were navigating the abandoned subway tunnels beneath New Seoul. The decaying infrastructure was hazardous, but it provided cover from the drones and facial recognition systems that dominated the streets above. I still don't understand why they framed you instead of just killing you with my family, Celine said as they traversed a particularly narrow section of tunnel. Reed's voice echoed slightly in the enclosed space. Plausible deniability. Black Iris operates through proxies and cutouts. Having a convenient scapegoat, a decorated intelligence officer gone rogue, was cleaner than an obvious assassination. Plus, it discredited any evidence I might have had about their operations. They emerged into a larger maintenance area, once used to service the maglev trains that had run through these tunnels a generation ago. We should rest here, Reed suggested. Plan our next move. Celine nodded reluctantly, fatigue beginning to wear on her despite her determination. As she leaned against a concrete pillar, the enormity of the situation washed over her. 6 years of single-minded purpose, now completely upended. The men she'd hunted standing guard while she rested. Why didn't you come find me? She asked suddenly. If you knew all this, why not tell me years ago? Reed was silent for a moment before answering. I tried. 3 times. The first time, you nearly took my head off with that vibroblade. The second time, you were working with a mercenary crew on Europa, and I couldn't get close without starting a firefight. The third time. He hesitated. The third time, I saw you had built a life for yourself. You were working security for a corporate executive on Mars. You seemed, not happy, but stable. I thought maybe you'd moved on. So you just gave up. I decided to find the proof first. Approach you with evidence, not just claims. His gaze met hers in the dim light. I never stopped looking for the truth, Celine. Never. Something in his voice, a raw honesty, made her look away, uncomfortable with the connection forming between them. Get some rest, he said. I'll take first watch. Celine closed her eyes, not expecting sleep to come, yet exhaustion claimed her quickly. Her dreams were a confused jumble of burning buildings, her brother's stuffed rabbit, and Dominic Reed pulling her from flames. She woke with a start, her cybernetic arm automatically reaching for her weapon. Reed was beside her instantly, his hand on her shoulder. Easy, he said softly. Just a dream. The gentleness in his voice disarmed her more effectively than any combat move. For a moment, they were just 2 people who had suffered, finding comfort in shared understanding. The moment shattered as Celine's comm unit activated without prompting. Vex's voice came through, sounding strained. Celine, they have me. Black Iris. They're tracking this signal. Don't trust Reed. He's working with, the transmission cut off with a sound of impact and a pained cry. Reed and Celine exchanged looks, both already moving to gather their equipment. It's a trap, Reed stated the obvious. Of course it is, Celine replied, checking her weapon. But now we know Vex is a hostage, not a traitor. Or it's manufactured to draw us out. Either way, we need to move. Her cybernetic arm whirred slightly as she flexed it, her resolve hardening. And I think it's time we found out exactly what's in this arm. Reed nodded, his expression mirroring her determination. I know someone who can help with that. An old contact from my intelligence days. If anyone can safely access that storage without alerting Black Iris, it's him. Can we trust him? Reed's smile held no humor. At this point, we can't even trust ourselves. But sometimes you have to play the odds. As they prepared to leave their temporary sanctuary, Celine found herself studying Reed's profile in the dim light. The men she'd hated for so long now stood as her only ally. The irony wasn't lost on her. For what it's worth, she said quietly, I'm starting to believe you. Reed met her gaze, a complex mix of emotions in his eyes. That's a start. Together, they ventured back into the tunnels, moving toward a truth neither was certain they were ready to face. The line between enemy and ally had blurred, and with it, Celine's certainty about everything she thought she knew. What remained unshaken was her determination to find justice for her family, even if it meant trusting the men she'd sworn to kill.